have shouted very loudly, but I don't think you heard me.
Oh, well, hey. Makes sense.
I got the big one.
Oh, you got the big one. I went with what some people might, dated people might call a girl drink, but I felt like a seltzer this evening. So we're doing that. We're doing that.
Listen. Oh no, it tastes like a Jolly Rancher and it makes me feel nice. How terrible. Clearly an experience that only women should have.
Listen, last summer we it was hot and we were getting kind of fat on beers and we're looking for a low calorie alternative. And we took the plunge in the seltzers and turns out they're good. They're good.
Like, what if it was a thing that I liked already and it had alcohol in it? Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Seems all right.
Why the hell not? Please drink responsibly.
It says the Angry Chicken. Says the Angry Chicken. So good job in updating the Twitch stream.
It says Hearthstone. Does not say Heroes of the Storm.
It does.
Which that's my favorite one. When it updates the title, but not the game. Or not the go live notification. So people are like, it says Into the Nexus and you look and it doesn't. But it's the go live notification. That's the problem. That's always fun. That's always a good time. Always really appreciate that one. I'm glad I checked that. I'm getting nothing in my audio recording. Let me see why. Stream can hear just fine. Let's see here. I'm just gonna restart Audacity because that's usually the fix. Hey, Dazzlin' Dorn, how you doing? Excuse me, I just had a spill. I just reached for my mixer and I spilled the drink. I'll be right back.
Okay. Hello, Hachikumo. Garrett has a beverage emergency. No. See, it's the Angry Chicken, so it's this works in text. This is the Angry Chicken. Party foul. Like the chicken. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at. That is crisp and refreshing. All right. What podcast is this? This is the Angry Chicken. No Jocelyn today, no. She is still under the weather. She should be back soon, but she's taking some time to work on some stuff. Well, she hasn't been feeling great. All right, I'm testing because last week my audio pooped itself.
Yeah, a lot of things pooped themselves last week.
What do I not know about?
No, just we had a lot of errors last week.
Oh yeah. Just your internet and my audio, which are important things for a streaming podcast. Hachikumo, it was quite enjoyable. I enjoyed it. She's a very good interviewer and asks questions that I don't normally get asked or get to answer. So I really enjoyed that.
Do you still want just my audio this week?
I sure do.
It was such a tiny amount that I spilt, and yet it caused such a mess.
That's the thing about moisture.
Yep. Oh, the side of the can is a little moist. Let me clean that up so that it doesn't slide the F out of my hand when I pick it up.
That's the thing that, like, it might be unreasonable, but that's the thing that sets off a bad day for me is like when I get a coffee and then get in the train and it drips hot coffee on the side of the cup, and it just every time I go to grab it, I just get the little coffee like dabs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if they get some on the lid when they put the lid on, and then it's just for the rest of time until the end of days, a drip of coffee will always be going down the seam of the paper cup.
Yeah.
Yep. There's just no way to stop it. Once that happens, it is wet forever. I don't know how the science works out there, but it's done so. All right.
I think. Well, no, Celestal, now that you're here, we have 3. So it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, if you you just want to call in, you know, I can just pop up another frame and we can give PR a heart attack.
So I know you're joking. 8 days ago, I was on a podcast where that happened with a Blizzard employee, and it was very fun. And we're lucky that he had previously received approval for that podcast.
I mean, a factual statement would be that Chad has previously received approval to come on this podcast. Is it this episode? No.
I mean, it's
But
not
that's not the
currently planned to be
statement.
this episode. It's not currently planned to be this episode. Chad, she is not PR and she is very busy. You go find Fabio. You tell us what Fabio said.
Yes.
Allie is busy.
Even worse, after appearing on this podcast and announcing that they will be opening up even more lines of communication as to how to communicate with the Hearthstone team for the purposes of content creation. I've seen her mentions. They blew up after that.
Yes. They were
I've
aggressive.
received DMs from people who are like, "Hey, get me in touch with Alkali," and I'm like, "No, it's not how this works."
She's her whole own person, and you can try and also like listen to the episode where she tells you not to do that.
Yeah, I'm just like,
'Cause-
first of all, you Twitter's there.
It is.
I'm about to keep her the Alkali.
And also, if you want to get something from the community manager, don't do what she says not to do.
Yes. Yes, that would probably be a good play. Yep. There's an @ in our chat, and I'm going to assume it's you. Yep, you doing what you do.
I did the thing.
You doing what you do.
Do you have the tweet of that painting so that we can throw it on the stream?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Do I have the tweet of that painting? Uno momento. My friend.
I'm putting him after the patrons. Just after the patrons. Right here.
Here we go. Mixclouds. Good man, Mixclouds. And then let's, this is probably broken. Yep, that is broken, but let me fix it. It never works right the very first time. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Just incredible.
I have feelings.
Just incredible.
So many feelings. It's wonderful.
Use that as a title screen. I can do that. By the power invested in me by the internet, I can do this. Oh, yeah, look at that. We're just gonna.
It's really nice.
You know, oh, look at. Sorry, Josh. We're gonna crop it just a hair.
Look, just a hairs.
Just the hairs. Yeah, and then it's theangrychicken.com. And
that's really nice.
There we go.
That's nice. I like that.
Look at this. Live graphic design. My teachers would be so proud. So proud. So proud. I meant to ask, I wonder, is this practical? It almost looks like it's like pastel or something. I don't know if it was digital or physical medium.
I also don't know. But in a lot of more ways than you don't know.
I think it's digital. But I'm honestly having a hard time telling. I can usually tell quickly.
You can ask him.
Yeah.
I bet you will, because we're going to talk about it on the show, and I bet that he'll listen to it because he's a patron and also like paints us.
Yes. Yes. I so very badly, by the way, want this on a shirt, like 3 Wolf Moon style. Someone made the joke, and I realized they were joking, but I legitimately want this I want my face. I want to wear my face on a shirt.
I want people to do double takes, and then I want to not acknowledge it. I want to keep walking.
Yep.
I want to be in the subway, and I'm wearing it, and then I'm right there, and I want to wear the same headphones, and then they look twice, and I don't make eye contact.
No, none at all. All right.
Should we like record the thing and do the thing?
Yeah, I think we can record the thing and do the thing. Would you like to record the thing and do the thing?
Good. Yeah, I tweeted. I Discorded. You've got your buttons.
I've got my buttons.
I'm going to test my audio one more time.
One more time.
Cool. All right. We're good. We're great. It's all good.
All right, that's good. That's good. That's good. Let me turn on recording. That would help on my the audio recording. Obviously, we're live. We're live for our dear live viewers.
3 wolf, no moon.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. 3 wolf chicken.
That 3 chicken. We'll work out this. We'll
3 chicken. But then there's 4 chickens because it's a chicken. The angry chicken, the actual art of angry chicken is present.
We should start the show.
I would, except I'm choking on my own spit and retweeting your tweet.
You're having a lot of moisture difficulties.
I am.
We
We
gotta keep it together.
Hold up. I just need to think about this for a second.
Make sure you phrase this very carefully. For context, he spilled his drink and is now choking on his spit. That is what I mean. But they are both moisture-related incidents.
Yes,
but context is very important here at the Angry Chicken.
Moisture challenge. That's what's happening. We're experiencing a moisture challenge at the moment. Please bear with us while we put this up, turn on recording, and say the following. The Angry Chicken episode 464 records live in 3, 2, 1. The Angry Chicken Hearthstone podcast is produced by amove.tv. Check out amove TV for more podcasts covering Blizzard games. For more of Jocelyn's gaming podcasts, visit jossplays.com. And to find many more podcasts with Ridiculous Hat, follow @RidiculousHat on Twitter. Every episode of Tech is made possible thanks to our legendary patrons over at patreon.com/TAC.
Time's up. Let's do this.
Legendary!
You face Jaraxxus. You smell like a leper gnome. I knew it. So hot. A podcast about Hearthstone and Battlegrounds. This is The Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, everybody. This is The Angry Chicken, the podcast all about Hearthstone, Battlegrounds, and anything else that tickles our fancy, really. But, you know, we try and keep it card game adjacent. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, here as always with the Ridiculous Hat. Jocelyn is out again this week, unfortunately. Still not feeling great. As is tradition here on The Angry Chicken, make sure you @JossPlays on Twitter with your favorite unicorn-related giffery.
It's true. I'm not even going to argue about the pronunciation. Just hope she feels better.
On that, we will always agree.
Yes. Though, speaking of things on Twitter that are visual and make people feel amazing. Mix clouds.
Yeah.
Throw it up.
So, for the audio only viewers, our good Twitter friend and patron Mixclouds painted us. There's really no other way around this. Mixclouds painted us. It's an amazing piece of art. And I didn't expect people to make art of us because we talk about a podcast.
But we talk on a podcast.
We talk about a game on a podcast.
Yes. I do talk about my podcast and other podcasts, but that's not medically advisable. Mix is amazing, and yeah, I didn't expect I was telling Garrett the other day on my life bingo card, I didn't have talk about a game so good someone paints art of your face on my just as a thing that I thought could or would happen. So like kind of really blown away, and it's very well done, and it's just fun. And thank you very much. It's an honor.
I was floored. And I'm with you, Kerfuffle. I think I look a little high too. I wasn't, because I'm not. But yeah, it's damn good art. I was very excited. I was like shaking my phone at Katie, like, "Yo, you need to look at this."
Yeah, it's crazy. He even got the shadows from my key lights on my face from my glasses. Like, even that detail is there, and my partial beard in honor of Alkali, where it's not here, right here. It's
I
just all the details are there.
the very first time I ever intentionally grew out facial hair, I did have a friend ask me seriously, like quoted Joe Dirt in a serious question by asking me, "Does it just grow naturally white trash like that?" So I listen. Weak beards unite. Hat. Weak beards unite.
It's alright. It's the important thing is the details are here. This is the coolest thing that has happened to me in a while in this podcast universe. And thank you so much, Mix.
Yeah, really, really, really made our day. We were all three of us freaking out on Discord, simultaneously sharing this with one another before realizing that someone else shared it. So yeah, Mix, seriously, that is awesome. I gotta send it to my mom. I just realized I haven't sent it to my mom.
Same.
My mom will lose her mind when I send that to her.
I haven't either. And it's Mother's Day this upcoming Sunday.
Yeah.
You should all write that in your calendar. It's also my birthday.
It's Mother's Day and your birthday on the same day.
It is. It happens once every 7 years.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I believe it. I also believe that we have additional wonderful folks that support us, not always through art, but by joining our Patreon over at patreon.com/TAC. And Hat, we have quite a few new patrons to thank this week. So Corey J, Daddy Teddy Bear, Joshua H, Adam B. Thank you very much for becoming new patrons. And we also want to give a shout out to Schulte because they upped their pledge. So, hey, Schulte, you didn't have to, but thanks for the raise. We appreciate it. We appreciate it very much. So if you haven't checked out our Patreon, check it out. Patreon.com/TAC. Join that. Get an ad-free version of the show. Get access to our patron-only Discord. It's a wonderful community in there. And apparently artful as well. Didn't know it.
Yes.
Didn't know it. Just learned this past weekend. Quite artful.
There we go.
Quite artful. But we talked about an incoming patch on last week's episode, Hat, and it has since hit the game. So we should probably have a chat about that in this week's Hearthstone News.
Good news, everyone!
We record Monday nights, so all we had to go off of last week were the tweeted changes, which were entirely accurate. Everything that was tweeted that was going to be hitting standard has come to pass. So druids, warriors, anyone running puffer fist, priests, they've all been taken down a peg or a peg leg.
That was good. I like that one.
I knew you would. I knew you would. You are a very bad influence.
Yeah, objectively true. And also, yeah, they did also hit Kael'thas and Wild. So thankfully, Wild has been pulled back from the brink a little bit from all the turn 3 kills. There's still some powerful stuff going on because it is Wild, but it is no longer you die in 2 different ways on turn 3, which honestly I can say is an improvement. And this patch is a whole bunch of other stuff, but it started off with the standard and wild changes, and so that's where we should start off too.
Yeah, how's it going for you? How are you liking these changes?
It's so we've talked about the vibe of different standards in the past, and I think at this point they're pretty intentionally designed to be a pretty particular way, and also those intentions have some side effects. I was talking with my buddy Schwal about 4 set metas, and I've generally they're the lead up to me to the middle of the year when I have more fun with a few more cards, and also they tend to be a couple classes with a much better kit than other classes, and they tend to be surprisingly hostile to board decks because most decks play for board, so the decks that don't have to usually dominate. And I thought about this back for 4 years in a row. This has been the case. In Rise of Shadows, which was 3 years ago, it was Lackey Rogue, which started to cut Heist Baron Tog Waggle for Life Drinker. You had your Waggle picks, you had your South Sea deckhands, you had Leroy Waggle, and just burn and just damage. Versus Dr. Boom Control Warrior, which tried to undo the damage and kill anything you played. Year after that was Ashes of Outland. Demon Hunter was good. in
Boy,
Ashes of
that's
Outland.
boy. We're just
Yep.
gonna really ice over that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Risky Skipper Warrior was the same set, which was also very good against minions. Then last year was Paladin, which was like 3 different decks that were busted, and also like watch posts were really prevented minions. And then the way to beat that was by being in Cantor Slow deck of Lunacy Mage.
Oh
So
man, I
don't play any
have not
minions.
thought about watch posts since we stopped playing watch posts.
It was 2 weeks where playing minions was a bad idea. So again, Rise of Shadows 3 years ago, Ashes 2 years ago, Barons last year, and this year, 2 classes that either dominated the board or played off board, and nothing else was quite on the same level and took them a couple balance patches to fix it. Exactly the same pattern. It's kinda where we are now. I can have a fun turn or a fun game. I want to have more fun with the meta than I am having. I'm playing a bunch, but the feeling at the end of the session isn't quite where I wish that I was landing. There are a few reasons for that, but this is also how I felt in those past metas too. I haven't quite found a deck I've fallen in love with. I found one today that I'm pretty close with that I like a lot. But
Is it
most of the
green?
time I no.
Oh, thank God.
It's a it's a druid deck
Huh?
that No Hands was testing yesterday, where you cut all the late game crazy stuff and you just play as many 8/8s as you can as Naga Giants and Sea Giants and Frostwolf
Is
Matriarch.
this the
You do
Anaconda
Clipper
deck?
Friends. No. F that deck. I
Uh,
refuse to Celestial Align. Hate that card.
okay,
Not a big
okay,
fan.
all right. Hey.
Yeah.
I'm just
I know we're
going
on
on
the
this
same
journey with you.
page. I just don't want to be accused of being a Celestial Aligner. That's no.
You are
But
out of alignment.
yeah. Exactly, yeah. So, I wanna play minions, and, like, I like Demon Hunter a lot, we talked about this before the show, and I like where the class is at right now mechanically, just the power level is it's gross, and the mirror match is unpleasant, um, so, like, it's not a bad format, and there are people I'm talking to that are having a great time. And I think it's entirely possible to enjoy this format. But objectively, in terms of balance, I think it has some room for improvement, both in terms of the best stuff getting a little worse and the worst stuff, the dead class is getting a little better. And that is not uncommon for 4 set metas, and some people really like this thing. It never has been exactly my jam, and they always get me to my jam slightly later in the year. So I know what's coming. But right now, I'm playing a bunch, but it's, I'm chilling, not vibing.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at that druid list. I'm looking
Oh
for
yeah, I'll send it to you after.
anything right now. I am
How you feeling?
unconstructively. I hate everything right now. That's my
Okay.
unconstructive
Well,
thought. This is
good place to start. Good place to start.
tilting to a level I greatly dislike. My constructive thought is I immediately started getting grumpy because it felt like the inner shit poster of me was like, we all thought not nerfing Demon Hunter was dumb, and it turns out it's dumb. So like my initial grumpy thought was that I was actually having significantly more fun before the patch, which is super rare. I can think of basically no examples of that where I've enjoyed I've enjoyed Hearthstone more before a patch.
I bet you in Dark Moon Fair, right before Christmas, before they made Evolve Shaman really good, was better than after. I bet you.
That's a good example. I was still pretty heavy Battlegrounds at the time too, though, so my investment in
Yes.
Constructed was not particularly high.
Yes.
But yeah,
But yes, it's a rare thing. Typically, when they change things, then you want to play more after. And right now, the things that got better are probably the things that you like less.
yeah,
In
I've
particular, the green
like
things.
all the way back years and 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 years ago, I was, you can go find very old episodes of this podcast where I talk about not liking Control Warrior. So the fact that Demon Hunter is broken right now and Control Warrior exists means I'm not the happiest camper on the earth.
Nope.
So
And
and especially when
there are
Control
ways
Warrior
to.
is the answer to the thing I really hate. When you're like, oh, well, just go play Control Warrior. I'm like, how about I just play another game? Because that sounds more fun to me.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm doing.
And I think, if I recall, I mean, Mech Paladin seems like it's relatively up your alley, and it does beat Control Warrior
yes.
if you're willing to invest a lot of time in the game, because your mission is to run out of run them out of stuff, and that doesn't happen quickly. So you
Yeah.
lose the fast games and you win the slow games, and that's never been a recipe for like having a great time for
No,
me.
I'm also losing the mage games, which in my realm is really the only other archetype I see. I see mostly Demon
Mech
Hunter,
Mage?
some warrior. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not sure I've seen much Naga Mage post patch. Trying to think.
Wildfire
I
Naga's decent, but yeah,
don't
I don't know
think.
how widespread it is. But Mech Mage makes sense because Mech Paladin is so bubbly and Mech Mage is so shooty, and the shooting pops the bubbles.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Pufferfist turns out still a very good card.
it is. I think that was a really good nerf because like it's still good, but you never have the feeling of like how am I ever going to get this off the board?
I
Whereas before we're just come down.
I agree
You used
entirely,
to be
dude.
able.
I'm with you. I think
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal nerf that absolutely freaking had to happen. The
Yeah.
so I guess actually that has well no because Mecha Shark's also 3 health. I'm getting there. I'm conflating the stats. So anyway, really what I'm trying to do is what I was trying to say is that my initial grumpy thought as to this whole patch was that oh damn I was having more fun before it landed. However, if I'm being truly honest, Demon Hunter was very common like my last 2 days of play before the patch hit. So I don't think it's really the patch's fault. I still wish the patch had done something about Demon Hunter. But had the patch not hit, like I don't have a good headline where it's like Hearthstone was better before the patch. That's probably untrue. If I am someone who doesn't like Demon Hunter, especially the current state of Demon Hunter, which I do not, that would have been true whether this patch came or didn't.
Yep. The argument and the position of this patch will make control better and control is good against Demon Hunter, that came true, but the context that was missing that the patch was probably planned right before the refinement and rise of Demon Hunter. And what Demon Hunter is doing is not keeping like it's not DH versus control is the paradigm. The issue is that Demon Hunter doesn't allow other minion decks to exist because the other minion decks that are around, if you are not specifically Mech Paladin or Mech Mage or whatever that is good against Control Warrior, it just you play minions, and the bigger they are, the bigger the multi-strike glaive damage is. And you end up like there are all these cool decks that you see in the Masters Tour. Shaxi brought a lineup of Beast Druid and a Bloodlust Shaman and a Face Hunter. Really cool decks. I tried them all on ladder. I tanked a large number of legend ranks because they weren't quite good enough against Warrior, but they were almost good enough. But then also, I would play 5 health minions, and then my opponent would gain Wind Fury because they would hit him for 5 and then hit
Mm-hmm.
me for
Mm-hmm.
5, and I would take
Mm-hmm.
10.
Now, granted, it's Wind
So,
Fury with math. You know, it's Wind Fury
yeah,
with extra math.
that's oh, there's definitely a pun here, but I don't know enough math disciplines to figure out what it is. It's chat will figure it out.
I got nothing, man. It's
It's like a
time.
wind fury trigonometry thing. I don't know how to combine these. There's something
I
here. I knew it. I'm gonna come back to this. Oh,
I went to art school.
all right. We can
I
keep going.
can't help you.
Yes, it's okay. No, I wouldn't call this helping. Don't enable me. It's okay. Let's just keep the show moving. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter makes it so that playing minions feels like a mistake. And in a 4 set meta where the developer said we want board to matter more, it kind of does because it makes the Demon Hunter do more math and it makes the Rancor gain more armor. But I want something where I play for board and then I'm rewarded. And it feels like DH is too good at punishing that, and it feels like the things that exist to counter DH also catch a lot of things in the splash damage. It's a fixable problem, and I anticipate them fixing it. And again, there is fun to be had in this meta, and there are decks that people are experimenting with. They're still popping up. We're still early on. Just I wish I was having more fun than I am. And it sounds like that you're in a similar boat.
I'm playing Battlegrounds again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a
Wait,
few games.
what did
over the-
BGs do? What did BGs do?
What did BGs do?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a bit. We have more to talk about. We have more to talk about before we
Oh,
get to
that's
BGs.
right.
Yeah.
We have this whole
There's-
show notes document. There's stuff in here.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I realize you're new to podcasting, but it's really cool. You make these things called show notes, and it can help guide the experience. If you want, I'm actually, I need to hear your thoughts on this. Tomorrow we're getting a mobile Warcraft game reveal. mobile Warcraft game, which I love some of the headlines because they say first mobile Warcraft game, which
It's
is
been
not how
amusing to watch the Hearthstone team being like, hey, what are you doing?" And just like up in Jason Schreier's mentions, it's been amusing. I'm amused.
it's been extremely amusing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Even funnier because the Hearthstone account was also promoting this, which is confusing because then I'm like, wait, what? And I'd like, my brain needs to think just one more second to put that together. Which honestly reminds me of Here's the Storm promoting BlizzCon Line when there was nothing HOTS related. BlizzCon Line.
It's I assume that just all the first party accounts are linked to the same Hootsuite or whatever, and they just all poop it out.
Probably, and they're just like,
Yeah.
how do we feeling like today? Yeah, sure, why not? Probably not actually how it works, I bet. But anyways, we're getting a mobile Warcraft game reveal tomorrow. Weird amount of like very specific hype in my circles about this, and I'm surprised because I was there. I was there, Gandalf, when Diablo Immortal was announced. I remember people being very angry and thinking to myself, we already have Hearthstone. Why is everybody so angry? But I don't know. I guess Diablo players don't play Hearthstone.
It's I went over that BlizzCon. Read this how you want to read it. Diablo Immortal was the best game that I played at that BlizzCon. It was the best thing they showed at that BlizzCon. I'm not gonna. I don't think it was a super great BlizzCon.
Well,
All
we
things
didn't we
considered,
didn't know yet. Warcraft 3 Reforged seemed good at the time.
it did. That was. I don't even think that was that year.
It
I think
was.
that was the year
It was the
after.
same year.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it was the second tier of BFA was that year, I think. Was that Visions, or was that just the BFA? And it wasn't the
If
BFA
it was
announcement.
that year, that would have been the year where they showed the cinematic of Anduin breaking Sourfang out of jail, which would have been the
Yeah, yeah.
first patch. Would have
Yes.
been leading
Point one,
into
whatever.
Magitar.
Yes. Um it was BlizzCon is every other year is the good one. And this was one of the off years. And that was the best thing at that BlizzCon. But like it was a good game and it was fun. I don't really understand
Yeah,
the
we
heat.
talk about comes on the show a lot because hey, this is a Hearthstone show. I don't really like playing games on mobile, like really at all. But I went out. Of course, I was going to go try that thing because I was at BlizzCon. And that was the big news, whether it was for good reasons or not. It's like, well, I should probably go try Diablo Immortal, and it was great. It was a really good demo. It was Diablo on a phone that controlled really well.
Yeah.
My
I mean, the
my
following year had
concession.
Diablo 4, which was a whole ass Diablo 4, and like I'm about it. But
Yeah, that was also a good demo. I would really like to play
I was
Diablo 4, please.
yep. Yeah, that BlizzCon 2019 was an all-timer. That was really something.
It was in the last timer too. We just didn't know it at the time. Maybe
Oh,
we'll see.
I'm sad.
I didn't know 2018 was the last HGC, and I wish I had because I would have taken it in appropriately. And same goes for BlizzCon 2019. Had I known a pandemic was going to come and ruin it, I would have done some different things and probably spent a little more time on the con floor. But
I think a lot of people would have done different things. They knew that the pandemic was
it's a
coming,
very
but
yeah, man, yeah. So,
anyways,
I
I don't
digress.
know. I'm gonna watch this reveal. So Jason Schreier, who he's a reporter who knows things, right? He's a guy that knows stuff,
Dude who
and
seems to
he
know
apparently
everything about what Blizzard's about to do, Jason Schreier.
he's got sources, and his sources have been pretty reliable in the past. And he apparently confirmed that I don't know. He there was someone that posted, I guess their leaks. He said, "I hope the lawyers aren't going after them." Um, so I don't know the specifics of any of this stuff, but either way, there are allegations that there were two mobile Warcraft games that were in development for several years. Most positive buzz about both, but apparently one of them was canceled, the Pokemon Go based one, and the other one is more like Clash of Clans.
Yes.
Clash Royale?
Yeah, there's a conversation going on a forum called Reset Era that Schreier replied to, saying, yes, there are at least 2 Warcraft mobile games in development, one Pokemon Go, one other Clash-ish one. Heard good things about both. And then there was a follow-up on Jason Schreier's Twitter, clarifying that according to his sources, again, this is hearsay, but Jason Schreier tends to be accurate, saying that the Pokemon Go-esque game is no longer a thing, which would lead by process of elimination, if you believe these rumors, means it's a Clash of Clansy style Warcraft mobile game.
I'm going to watch the thing.
Yep.
I have no preconceived notions. I probably won't have time to play it even if it's cool, but I hope it's cool.
Have you ever played Clash of Clans?
No.
Would you be hungry for a Clash of Clansy Warcraft game?
I haven't played Clash of Clans, so maybe. Does it taste like cheese?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
I haven't played it either.
We lack information.
I was just curious. Schreier's usually right.
No, we lack information on the thing that he's comparing the game to. Neither of us know what that is.
Okay, that's the information we like. That's fair.
Yes. I'm going to watch the thing. I bet it's cool.
One very specific friend of mine, you can probably guess who, is convinced that he's going to catch on fire from rage if he sees Heroes of the Storm models in this mobile game.
Does his name rhyme with File Kerguson?
How'd you know?
You host a HOTS podcast with him.
Yes.
That's how.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll hear what happens, too.
Oh, how do you know I don't watch things on mute?
We're segueing into an ad read.
I didn't pick up on that.
It's said here because
are we gonna hear him? Yes, that's right. Today's episode is sponsored by Raycon. Lovely. Oh yes, I've got two Raycons right here.
Ooh.
This is my original pair, which I've held up very well, and this is my new pair, which look brand new because they are.
Audio listeners, the new pair is blue.
Yes.
New blues.
New blues. Hey, listen, you might not think Raycon earbuds and think to yourself, moms. But listen, moms. Mine is one of the only people still in my life that lives voicemails still. If I have a voicemail, probably mom. Does your mom do that?
She knows better by now, but she did for a long time.
So, hey, if you're listening at home and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm connecting with the podcasters as I'm listening. My mom does that. Hey, maybe make that next, mom call extra special. Spoil your mom with the gift of quality premium wireless audio courtesy of Raycon. Be great. You're going to know because she's going to sound a little better in that voicemail. The built-in microphone. It's gonna be great. Listen, I have had my my Raycon earbuds for a really long time now, so long that I've got a new pair. Even though my original pair works perfectly fine, but it's good to have multiples. And they're really great. They're great for the super moms out there. Are they out there? Are they multitasking? Are they calling you while they, do other things because you haven't called them? Am I fighting through some, personal guilt a little bit? Maybe. Not actually. I called my mom quite a few times this past weekend. It was great.
Oh, I'm guilty. I have done that.
Had some fun calls with mom this weekend. She was, she had some good advice for some house issues that I had going on. And they come in a bunch of fun color options. As you mentioned, Hat, my new pair is blue. And I went with the Spartan black before. It always works, goes with everything, but I decided to go with blue. And all sorts of options. Go check them out. And maybe your mom's on the go. They offer 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life with their compact portable charging case. It is astounding how often I don't need to charge this darn thing. I'm still impressed with it. Yeah,
I just leave them in my bag because there are so often where I wear headphones every day in the train, both ways, and there's so often where I will just I have a couple pairs. I got a big pair, and I got the Raycons in the bag, and I forget to charge the big pair often, and they will die. And then I just take the Raycons out of the bag. They have never let me down. They have always just been there, ready for me
Got me
when I need them.
through so many damn semesters now of my master's as I am staring down the barrel of only 2 more semesters before I graduate. And Katie hasn't had to listen to a single horribly boring lecture while I walk through the house or do other chores while I listen to a lecture. That's right, teachers. I multitask. You're kind of boring sometimes. Just saying. You're great. I appreciate the education. But anyway, they're really good. I use mine a ton. So go check them out. Tell Mom how much you love her and make sure she hears it in crystal clear audio quality with Raycon. Go to buyraycon.com/TAC to get 15% off your Mother's Day order. That's buyraycon.com/TAC. And we thank them for their support. And we thank you all for supporting the brands that support us here at The Angry Chicken. So go check it out. buyraycon.com/TAC. And now let's see what's going on in BGs.
Have a good battle, friend.
So there were Battlegrounds changes in the patch as well, which we were not alerted to ahead of time, but I was definitely hoping for. We talked a bit about it last week. But now we can talk about the actual changes as they happened.
The changes here seem like, so we're at the point in the Buddies meta. Buddies came out January.
Was it January? When was the Buddy update? Oh my God, I legitimately cannot remember.
January 20th. January 20th.
Oh, thank you.
Almost 4 months.
Right before my birthday.
Yeah. So every 4 months they update BGs on the point 2 update. It's usually about a month-ish after set release, which is next week or the week after, probably. Is either before Lobby Legends or after Lobby Legends. We're at the tail end of the Buddies universe, unless they leave Buddies in for another patch, which they could do. But this is probably the last balance patch we'll see before they do some kind of refresh in point 2, right? Do you think they're going to leave Buddies in?
No.
Why not? What do they do?
Because I think I think we have all collectively as a Battlegrounds community turned against them.
I suggested before the show that the title be "I'm Not Your Buddy Guy." We were all talking about. We kind of had the same kind of buddy fatigue.
And I am not your guy, buddy.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got into this a little bit last week, and if you follow some of my favorite Battlegrounds personalities like Ben and Slissa, there's a lot of talk about being over buddies. Yes. And rightfully so.
Like, that's been the litany I've heard from the BG's content creators that I follow, which is like not a ton of them, but they all seem to really, really dig him the first couple weeks and kind of chill for a bit. Then friend of a friend came out and everyone's like, "What is happening?" Then friend of a friend went away and it's like, "All right, we're okay," but it's still a lot. And then from there, just the sentiment just kept rolling downhill. It's not Diablo level anger, but
no, it's a
nowhere
subtler one, right? Because like on face value, buddies are really cool, and it's difficult for me to kind of remove them from my line of thinking when as I mentioned last week, prizes were removed. Because when prizes were removed, I was very bummed because it felt like the game got simpler, just objectively simpler, and nothing filled the missing gap left by the extra layer of intrigue from Darkmoon prizes. But buddies are subtler than that because in theory they should be a good thing for engaged Battlegrounds players. If you play a lot of Battlegrounds, if you are up on it, this added layer of complexity should be a good thing.
Well, but complexity, but consistency, right?
Yes. And we talked about it last week. They're very much the quest line of Battlegrounds. Because of the way that buddies function, games play out more similar than they would otherwise. Because you're always going to get that buddy. Now, you might get it later, you might get it sooner, etc. But it adds a degree of sameness to lobby after lobby of Battlegrounds games. And then that extra, the layer of complexity that comes with buddies makes it a much more difficult mode to get into or come back to if you haven't been playing in a while or you haven't played before.
So I follow a bunch of former Magic pros on Twitter. It's one of my this has been a really fun part of my experience. There are a bunch of people that like were my idols like 20 something years ago. And like Kai Bude is a name that's come up, Chris Pikula, um, Rich Hone. There are a bunch of people that play BGs and they were people that I read about on old Magic the Gathering websites 20 years ago, and they play Battlegrounds now. And almost all of them, and these are professional Magic players by background, say buddies are too complex, so I just don't really play BGs right now. And the mechanic deals with itself, but it makes the APM requirement of the game so high, and I think it's a question of articulation of what they're actually talking about. Physically, mechanically, there's just so much more going on. And it's not necessarily how the game will play out, but it's how do I do all the stuff, and then what are the impacts here, and the power levels cranked up too. So it's interesting to see them articulating it as complexity, because what they're looking for is a game that they can pick up and play, and where they have a rough idea of knowing what's going on. They don't need to know things beforehand. They can just kind of figure it out because they're smart guys that play smart strategy games and they know what they're doing. And that's all they're looking for. But here you have to have a lot of pre existing knowledge and know how these archetypes work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's in its defense, there's a decent amount of surface level information. Like if you understand the star rating, the tier rating on a buddy, that you're going to most likely get that buddy quicker. If it's a lower star rating, right? That kind of type of stuff. But still, you're absolutely right. I had like single digit demon games in the last week, and I'm like, oh, this is so relaxing. It's like the only time I feel that way. Any other composition, I feel like I'm sweating and just yelling like Bill Paxton having that knife dance between his fingers in Aliens.
You take a Wrathweaver and you find Small Gannis, and then you take demons and you play a bunch of demons, and that is it. And then you get fourth place, assuming things go well, and then you queue another BG, and that is okay. Like
Actually, lately
it's just
my best demon games have been mech mid range, and then no Wrathweaver into the 6th tier. Eat the minions. I always forget the name of that minion, but
Frenzied Fellbat.
Thank you, Fellbat. Yeah, my best demon games have not involved Wrathweaver.
No, it involves taking things that say demons and other cards that also say demons, and then you make a bunch of them somehow,
And they get
and
bigger.
they do demon
And
things.
they just keep getting bigger.
It just does what it does. Listen, that can be the Pirate Warrior of BGs, and you know what? Pirate Warrior got nerfed twice because it was too popular because people kept playing it. There is an appeal there to having something where you don't have to make all these decisions and game actions. You just play a game. I want to play a game. Every time I go into BGs, I can do one or two, then my brain melts out of my ears and I get super overwhelmed because I'm not good at the mode and I don't keep up with it, and I have no idea what's going on or how I died. And I can have fun for a couple games if I'm not too personally invested in it, and then I play something that's lower complexity, like duels.
Yeah. And so anyway, with all this in mind, this feels like a pause patch, right? This is just kind of getting us
A send
over.
off, right? This is your send off.
This is getting us over the hump. This is just giving us something to freshen things up until the big Battlegrounds update comes. Which again might sound critical, but I think it's great. I think it's a really good thing that even though we're all sitting here going, yes, we know, we've been here before, we know how it works, there's a big world upending Battlegrounds update coming down the pipeline.
Could be after Lobby Legends, which means a couple weeks, if not more.
Hmm.
Could be before Lobby Legends, which I hope is soon because Lobby Legends is not this weekend, but the next weekend.
Hmm.
Uh, in which case, well, then we'll either find out about it soon or it will be very sudden. Those are the two options if it's before Lobby Legends.
Or it'll be after.
Um, or it'll be after,
Yep.
which I think is probably the safest bet right now, even though most of the people that I watch in the BG's world are chilling on. Like there are some people that are still climbing and playing and all that there, but the people that are highly invested right now feel like they're ready for things to be a little different. Can't blame them. It's been 4 months, right? We can just look at the calendar and know that something is coming. We have no idea if buddies are staying or leaving. No clue. Could be in, could be out. Um, the Pixar said something in the Year of the Hydra video that something is coming in this upcoming season, which is a new unit of measurement now, right?
Mm.
He
Is
said
it?
something. I forget what he said.
I thought we've
Yeah.
just always referred to whenever the MMR gets reset as a season.
But well, so he's explicitly calling it a season, and he said that each season will have new mechanics. I forget exactly what he said about what's coming this time. He alluded to something.
I mean, that's how
But like,
the Riot one does it. I can't
yeah.
remember the name of
Oh,
anything tonight.
Dupla
Team
said it in
Fight
the
Tactics.
chat. Naga's coming. Right? That's what Dean said. Naga's coming.
Right. Is a new minion type a new again though, like that's kind of par for the course for the major update. Not that it's not exciting.
Yeah.
New minion types are always exciting. But when you say new mechanics are coming, I think things like buddies, I think things like prizes, I think things like Diablo, which, maybe you don't
Yeah.
want to think about, but
I mean,
is a new
that wasn't a
mechanic.
mechanic so much as a cataclysm.
Fair. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But anyway, my point being, we all know this, and yet knowing that we're waiting for the big upset, I'm really stoked that there's a small patch. Just shining
Yeah.
some stuff
And
up.
and an important patch, I think. I don't know if any needed to get this much worse, but I do know she needed to get worse because after they nerfed her last time, she was still the best hero and the only one in tier 1.
It's still the best hero by still a wide margin too. Is important. Now
Post
Flurgle is on top.
After
Actually,
this nerf now?
no. After the previous one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It wasn't just that she was still the best. It was she was still the best by still a large margin. Her in her launch form, it was bad, and she was still bad after her first nerf. But yeah, now she's God. Where did she end
It
up?
appears that her dominance has been effectively resolved. She sucks now. She's bad. Actually, not even that bad. At top 50% MMR, she's actually not even that terrible. She's tier 2-ish. But
I'm
at
still
top 20% MMR, she drops like a rock.
Yeah, I'm still seeing her picked a lot. I'm not losing to her a lot though, which is a big difference.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Flurgle's on the top if you're in top 50%. Mutanus and King Buckler on top if you're in the top 20%. Flurgle not far behind. Mutanus, I'm fine, I guess, with Mutanus being up the top. Mutanus tilts me so much these days, Hat. Dude, I've just been having the rottenest Mutanus luck.
Oh, he just always spits in the wrong minion.
Just always the wrong minion. Never. I skipped Mutanus earlier because I got him in one game and went terribly, and I got him again. I was like, you know what? No, I just don't. No, I don't. I'd rather play a hero that I know what's gonna happen, or I have more control over my outcome. But I digress. Yeah, the top heroes are kind of more in line with what we've seen for a while now. Millhouse is still up there. AFK has kept her higher spot, which has been true for a couple patches now, which is hilarious to think about where she started with buddies. It's rough, but yeah. Innie got nerfed, fell quite a bit as a result. Varden Dawngrass buddy, Aqu Warrior, got messed with. Isn't this the second time they messed with Aqu Warrior?
Dawngrasp and Dawngrass Buddy have both been all over the place because they shot way too low, and then they buffed it and it wasn't enough. Then they buffed it and it was way too much, and then they pulled the buddy back a little bit.
Well, Varden in the top 20% is still trending lower, significantly lower than Innie, so this doesn't appear to have done it, but went from a tier 2 to a tier 3 and gained a health, which doesn't seem worth adding a whole tier on to me.
Oh no, this is a nerf. They made it this worse. This was designed to make this worse.
And then they came for murlocs, Hat. They came for our murlocs.
They did. How do you feel about this? SI7 goes from Avenge 3 to Avenge 4, and Cold Light Seer to Tier 4, which that is a nerf if I have seen one.
Yes, I feel great about the Sephin one. The Cold Light Seer one feels a little dirty. I don't know why. Like murlocs are clearly a problem and need to be addressed, but I don't know. I still also kind of see it as a symptom of the buddy issue.
It's poison is always this thing where like poison is necessary for the game because you need something that keeps scaling from being the only thing that matters.
Yes.
But whenever poison has been too good, then stats never matter. And what's the point? You just pivot to poisons or pivot to selfless hero and Rivendare, which is both challenging, high level, and stupid.
And for the most part,
So
Poisonous is really only available as a minion type strategy in Murloc. So it's also hard right now because for like the last month, I have felt that the only interesting lobbies are ones without Murlocs in them. And so I am having more fun when Poisonous isn't just running rampant. Now that you can get that neutral minion, but it is difficult to get more than one attack out of that neutral minion.
yeah. So I mean, they wanted poison to be less effective. Clearly, they got it. They got there. My understanding was that Murlocs are really, really good, but I'm not speaking from a point of
They are.
an informed opinion.
They were. They
But
still
it
are
just,
to a
yeah,
degree.
yeah.
Especially for George. But that's always been true.
Yeah. It's Divine Shields and Murlocs have gone together since BlizzCon 2019.
Yes.
Like since the very beginning with Gentle Megasaur, we were worse at it back then. And they actually buffed Murlocs shortly after release, and it was a bad idea, and they undid it. Yeah, because Cold Light Seer was moved to Tier 2, and Lookout was on Tier 4, and it was so gross. Oh my gosh, it was so gross.
It was gnarly. It was gnarly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Murlocs are falling down a bit. They're still considered tier 1 if you look on good old HS replay. But you look at that placement distribution and they're almost a plateau.
Yeah.
Pretty low chance of 8th, but every other, like 7th through 1st, neck and neck in terms of average finishes. Which is, I think, how it should be. I'm really stoked about the Sephin change. Cold Light's here a little bit. I'm just like, but I also, hey, you know me, Hat. I have horrible luck. I don't find my Cold Light Seers. So now I find them even less.
Also, as a side effect here, tripling into 4s got somewhat worse by adding Cold Light Seer to the pool. Because tripling into 4s was a strat for a while, and now you just have one more whiff from almost everybody. Because you don't want to triple into a Cold Light Seer. That's not going to get you anywhere.
Not even Murlocs want to triple into a Cold Light Seer.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and then there was a Baby Crush. Baby Crush got nerfed as well. Went from a 7/7 down to a 6/6, and now summons an 8/8 instead of a 9/9. This was my in case of emergency draft Baby Crush.
Hey, I played with this card one time before it got nerfed. I was like, wow, this is kind of really good, right? It was. They agreed. They changed it. It wasn't because I played with it one game. I'm implying a correlation that doesn't exist. I played with it once, and I was like, this seems really powerful. And I assumed that they played with it more than once, decided this needs to be worse because it's the biggest pyromancer I've ever seen.
Did you do it with Mama Bear?
I just picked it and played it, and some stuff went down.
It's so gross with Mama Bear. But yeah, I was just a lot of times just throwing it into whatever I was drafting just to try and survive if my mid game was going poor.
Yeah.
So
Seems like it would work.
Needed something. It had too many stats inherently, just as it was with no synergy whatsoever. And with synergy, it was just punishing. So that makes sense. Might seem a little weird if all you do is look at how compositions are performing on average, but Baby Crush was a little much. Might say crushing under the
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
We'll take some emails.
We can do that.
Cool.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
Stream watchers, you saw nothing. I definitely didn't just move through every scene on my OBS. Emails, you can send them to tacpodcast@gmail.com, or if you're supporting us on Patreon, you can write us right there in the patron-only Discord. Or if you're James, you could just DM us on Patreon, which is something you can do, and not a lot of you do, but you can. You absolutely can. James said, hello, Cluckers. I saw a Twitter post this week claiming that we have already reached the paper, rock, scissors phase of the standard meta, which I don't agree with, but maybe I'm missing something. Personally, I'm still seeing new decks, such as Kibler's Battlecry Shaman just this week, and feel there's still a lot of variation, at least platinum level. Maybe a different story at Legend. What do you think? My gut reaction is if you're watching Kibler, it will always seem like there's variation. And then I'm confused by your platinum statement because I'm in platinum and I'm basically only seeing 3 classes.
So there's a reductive element here, and it's referencing a Twitter post, so of course there's going to be a reductive element. Twitter is the place to share very brief messages that make hot takes, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what's going
You
on
could
here.
probably say that about
And-
most text-based places where Hearthstone is discussed.
or where things are discussed. But it's
Yes.
Hearthstone's not unique here. It's just, the
How
thing.
do you feel
that
about
we have
Elon Musk?
podcast
And by the way, you only have 140 characters to tell me. I know it's been upped. I don't care.
280 characters. I only need 10. I muted him. So you're going to get people that say rock, paper, scissors, and it is fair to say there are balance outliers right now. It is very hard to argue with that. I think that's objectively true. There's also innovation, creation, whatever. Edelweiss sent me a Quest Shaman list that was quite fun the other day. I'm playing with the Druid list that plays Flipper Friends and composting, so you can get down your sea giants. But are any of these strategies going to be good enough to reliably compete with Demon Hunter, Quest Hunter, and Control Warrior? Probably not. They'll be close. They'll feel almost good enough. Will they be actually good enough? Probably not. Can you play them? Absolutely. Can you still win games with them? You sure can. Can you play with or against goofy decks? And will you lose to the goofy deck sometimes? I lost to a Quest Demon Hunter. Played by Briarthorn, former Grandmaster. Cued in him. He was clearly testing this out because my rank had tanked and his was similar. So this is not some bragging about a high rank. Neither of us were there. But quest on 1, the quest was to discount spells so he could go Lady Sathino Abusive Sergeant and play 7 spells and kill me. And after I lost out of nowhere, I said, oh shit, that was cool. The next time I played against him, which was the same evening, I had to kill him on turn 6 I was going first because on turn 5 he put me to 3. He almost had me. I had lethal up with Boneglaive. He dealt me 26 damage. You can do cool stuff in this format. There is cool stuff to do in this format. Is it good enough to beat the 3 best strategies consistently? Probably not. They're going to fix it. But you can still experiment. And like you said about Kibler, if you watch his streams, crazy stuff looks viable because it's Brian Kibler. He can win with a ham sandwich. So,
He might cut the ham sandwich in the shape of a dragon.
He might. So both the thing that you saw on Twitter was true, and the thing that you're saying of there's new decks and a lot of variation is also true. The reason that you might see some concern from people is because the variation, experimentation, and new stuff feels not anywhere near the format-defining refined stuff already. And I expect there will be external intervention to fix that. There will be new decks that come up. I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of them is good. But people are just dealing with their feelings here, and they're bad at articulating them.
That's Well put, as usual.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that you were seeing a pretty small grouping of decks, but also I imagine that part of that was after a few games of those decks, you were like, "I'm gonna go not do this."
Yes. Yeah, a lot of this too. Yeah. There's a big factor here, which we didn't talk about, which is like, how many games do you play on average? Like, what's an average game? What's an average day of Hearthstone for you? Because then your mileage may vary. I tend to shorthand this to us mere mortals, which I just say average players. Like, what are you out there to do? Standard, I usually just try and get my quest done and climb a little bit. That's kind of my goal. And so in that regard, yes, it feels very rock, paper, scissors to me. And that's so when I go and look at things like, oh, I'm enjoying this deck, how does it pair up against Demon Hunter? Because that's what I'm seeing. And I see a below 40% win rate. I go, gross. That's concerning. Probably not my jam. Because I'm not the type of person that I don't like dancing around and learning a lot of decks. I don't play enough games to where that type of play brings me a lot of joy. I like to find a small handful of decks and play those. So I think that's why I have the opinions that I have when it comes to metas like this, which is I don't like them. So this one stings a little bit more because I was really enjoying the meta before. But again,
Yeah.
people really just figured out the Demon Hunter deck, which I think is God's mistake. Which happened before the patch anyway. And it's just that the patch did nothing to Demon Hunter, and so here we are.
You raise a good point because, like, if you play 25 games a day, right? That's a big number. It's a big number of games. And you see 5 or 6 cool decks. All right. If you play 10 games a day, see 1 or 2 cool decks. Yeah, okay. You play 5 games, clear quests, see 0 to 1 cool decks. What's going on? And so it's just a question of
I'd be
how can
surprised
we
if you're
make the
clearing your
percentage.
quest in 5 games.
Well, just as rough estimate
Yeah.
numbers, like, yeah, it's probably not gonna be that, but the goal of balance is to make the percentage of cool stuff in your games much higher, and I envision that is going to be their goal the next time that they change stuff, whenever that may be, and I hope they are successful.
Well put. Rational Pie wants to switch it up, but still kind of keep it in this wheelhouse by asking, what's your favorite dumpster tier meme-worthy deck that you have ever played?
Hmm. Hmm. This is a tough question. I played a lot of crappy decks.
OG Casino Mage, I think, is my answer.
Oh, with, like, spell slingers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
where you were just play whatever and just see what happened. Yeah.
Yes.
One of my favorite old cards from that era was Nexus Champion Sarad. It's, from the Grand Tournament, 5 mana, 4/5, neutral, inspire, add a random spell to your hand. So inspire was whenever you hero powered, and it would be random from any class. I played it in control where you just get all sorts of nonsense that you would never have access to before, like, Burgle was really a thing. The card Burgle was printed in that set. That was the first time they experimented with that stuff.
I had to think of that. I'm glad that popped into my mind because I, as just stated, I'm not usually that kind of player.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the reason I
Yeah,
like BG so
usually
much is it kind of forces me into that sometimes. So I'm just like, oh well, here we go. But in standard, I like to come prepared.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it's difficult for
So
you to fully. Actually, do you play a lot of weird decks, or do you just play a lot of decks?
both.
Okay.
I usually, if something is, like, bad, and is designed to be memey, that's usually not where I go. Like, I wanna play something that at least has a game plan and a chance. It doesn't have to be a huge chance, and it can be questionable, but I wanted to at least have a plan for winning the game and a path to get there. Um, the deck that I remember streaming this. I posted in the Discord because knew I was gonna forget it. where is this thing? Here it is. So there's a there was this deck from, gosh, what expansion is this? A long time ago. Whenever Vivid Nightmare and Lyra and I guess this was Kobolds? I guess this was Kobolds. Um, there was this goofy combo priest deck, and the support was kind of there for it, but not really there for it. This would have been in Kobolds, where we played Dragon Soul, the priest weapon, the first priest weapon, the 3 mana 03, I think. Whenever you play 3 spells, you get a 5/5. And you would end up building these crazy boards out of nowhere. I remember I had like that was back when I streamed twice a week because I was on one podcast. I think just one podcast at the time. And so I would stream a couple nights a week just to get on there. And I had a really good day with this, and it was my most viewed Twitch VOD ever because people were watching me play this ridiculous, questionable uh, combo priest deck. I'll post the code in the chat. Here it is, ancient. Um, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna ladder with this deck. I'm gonna get legend with this deck this month." That wasn't what happened. It's the wheels fell off after the one good day, but it was a lot of fun to kill people with Stormwind Knights, with 20 power Stormwind Knights.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything like that at all. I was clearly watching the wrong stream.
It wasn't a thing. I had one good day with this deck one time. It was not a thing. This is not a component of the meta. There was no Stormwind Knight meta. That was not a thing that happened. But it was a lot of fun at the time.
I think Joss had a weird Shirvala deck like the day one Shirvala was available. I wonder if she remembers this. When we used to stream like all day on launch day, we would always have our own homebrew decks. And usually each of us would find one decent one that would then catch on fire literally the next day. Like the minute the clock struck midnight, you would just never win a game with those decks again. But I've struggled to really remember any of them because they're one-day blips. So, yeah, Casino Mage was the first time I remember playing a deck where I'm like, this is bad, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah. I guess my answer should actually be Momentum Demon Hunter. I was one of there were a bunch of people that were trying, a couple people that were trying out like the Stormwind Quest Demon Hunter with Irebound Brutes, with Lion's Frenzy as a one of, and you would just whoosh through your deck and draw a bunch of cards, make a bunch of 6/7s, and hit people for 30. And the win rate at first was like 45% ish. Like it couldn't beat anything with any kind of pressure. The deck list wasn't super optimized. I loved the deck. Really, really had a great time with it. Just kept playing it. Did all right. And it was the deck that I played. I hit a bunch of good matchups. It was the first deck I entered top 200 with. The list got optimized a bit. Ixar retweeted me, hung out with Celestalon, played the deck a little bit. Like there were a lot of really good memories wrapped up in that deck. And it ended up being kind of okay. And they ended up having to nerf Brute because just the speed with which they came down was excessive. There was also a version of that deck like the week after where they added the Il'gynoth OTK combo into that deck. That wasn't okay. That was too good. So I'm very glad that they nerfed it. But that was dumpster adjacent. Seemed like a meme, but then wasn't. But that was a really, really good time. And one of my favorite parts of Stormwind, which I really enjoyed. Yes, I said it. Yes, I said it.
Hey, man, you do you.
I did. Still do.
You did
but
you.
I used to, too.
You did you, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We've got a smattering of questions from the Discord. Would you like to take one? Or two or three?
Yeah. Sure, let's do some questions. Whatever. So, Satoshi8 asks, in BG's new tribe should hit this month. What could be their main mechanic, or what would you want to see with them scaling spells, poison, etc.? Well, it's
gonna be Naga.
It's Naga, right?
Yep.
Probably spells.
Gonna be Naga. Is it gonna be? We don't really.
I have no idea.
We do not have a normal amount of spells, and spells are not normally available to everyone in Battlegrounds.
Maybe they go with Quillbore. I don't know.
They
figured out spells with Quillbore.
Yeah, but it's not spell synergy. It's blood gem synergy. Like everything is blood gem.
Right.
None of those Cold War cards say spell. They say blood gem.
They always manage to make new mechanics for tribes that we have in standard that are nothing like they are in standard and still feel on brand. So like
Also, I
I'm
mean,
sure they'll
we
figure
don't
it
have
out.
a Quillbore in standard, so
We have a few.
yeah, but
They
they're not a
didn't
minion type. They don't have a little
they
thing at the bottom of the card that says this, and when you play this,
they
do the
added it.
thing.
They added it in standard for to make it
Oh,
congruent.
they
It
did.
doesn't do anything. It's See, if you play Death Rattle Demon Hunter, there are a lot of minions with minion type Quillbore in them. The tag doesn't matter at all. It's irrelevant.
Thank you
But
for
it's
making my
there.
point for me.
Yeah. I mean, after the BG's nerfs, I thought Quillbore were relevant there too.
I've had some pretty banging Quillbore games, but they are not contested, really. So
Yeah. It's very diplomatic.
yes, yeah, give
Yeah.
them a shot.
Quillbore always an open option in most lobbies.
Well, some of them would get picked up from menagerie comps. I digress. I could see something that's spell adjacent, like when this minion attacks, have an arcane missile-esque effect.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my head's at. I'm imagining arcane style magic effects, but that are tied to Naga in a battleground specific way that do not involve spells as we know them. They're like spells built onto a body, either through a death rattle or when this minion attacks or start of combat, that type of stuff.
Sounds cool. I'm down.
That's what I'm imagining. That's what I'm imagining.
I'm not gonna
I
say no.
see them as a scaling minion type.
Nagas are definitely scaling.
God damn it.
Because they're like snakes.
Yeah. I mean, bringing in another minion type that had poisonous could be interesting. You run the risk of, like right now, where I'm really stoked when murlocs aren't in the lobby. Well, then if we have another minion type that has easy access to poisonous, then it could be a problem. However, what would be really interesting is if you had two minion types in the same lobby that have access to poisonous naturally. That could be interesting.
I was trying to think of other minion types that would have poisonous. Blight, undead, forsaken. Do some blight.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
We're so overdue for undead. We're so overdue for it. Like, how many expansions have they made about things that are dead but also still alive?
Things that are dead but also still alive.
Yeah, Shadowlands, like everything is dead, but you're interacting with them. They're
Oh,
undead.
you're talking about World of Warcraft expansions. I was thinking of Hearthstone. I'm like, Frozen Throne and that's it?
Yeah. We don't there's so like the entirety of WoW for years has been about undead stuff. And Hearthstone we just don't do that?
I don't know. At the end of Shadowlands was like, surprise robots with green grass that they mow, I guess.
We don't gotta do
But
glossing. We're gonna gloss.
We're
glossing over the end
there.
of
Yeah,
Shadowlands.
things that are dead but still going somehow. Like Shadowlands. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba.
Glossing. Gloss.
Yeah. No, you triggered me. Thanks, man. Yeah, no, it's one of those things that in the back of my head, I really wanted and seemed like a given, and that I've just forgotten about over time. And hey, it probably means it's right, because I wanted Scry for years, and then I forgot about it.
Probably.
And I can't remember the last time I mentioned Scry on this program, and now we have it.
Yes.
Well, we have the Hearthstone version.
Probably last week when we talked about Dredge, or the week before. I'm sure it was during a Dredge
I
conversation.
think it was like a month ago when we were previewing the set, and we were really excited about Dredge.
Yeah.
Haven't mentioned how much I love Dredge.
Well, it's great. I'm really glad they did it. It's a good mechanic. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
They've said they want. People said during Stormwind they want tradable to be a permanent core game mechanic. I think that in small doses, maybe, possibly, in a little bit, not right now. Dredge, I'd prefer currently to be also evergreen in similar quantities. Like, I want this to be the sort of thing in Core Set 2023. I want them to have access to Dredge and Tradable as something they could theoretically put in a card in Core Set. Just it's worth like half a card, quarter of a card, whatever. And I think that's a cool middle ground between draw a card or this card is bad.
I wanted to make a joke about Demon Hunters and not playing Dredge, but I guess they are playing Blown Glaive. I just feel like I never see it.
Yeah,
So I'm
it
just
feels
gonna,
5.
yeah, I'm just gonna cancel out of that grumble joke. Get that out of there. Yeah, I don't know. Spell adjacent. I would be surprised if Naga scaled, but could be wrong. There are Naga giants after all. We got a question from King Dupless, who said, question in regards to Dean's Twitter AMA. Dean mentioned a new card type finished development and was just, quote, waiting to ship. What type of card type do you think it might be? What theming do you think it might be based around? Accessories, armor sets, auras, buffs, terrain, locations, etc.? Well, we just talked about Dredge, which means the next thing in my long line of things I used to beat the drum about and then completely forgot about because we didn't get it ever, flying. But that'd be a minion. That'd be like a modifier to a minion. That wouldn't be a new card type. Equipment always seemed like a thing, but in my mind, it just kind of works like buffs.
Or weapons, right? Like it's
Yeah.
for it, when heroes have weapons and they don't attack with them. Like you could have something on the other side of the hero where it just goes there. They've
Oh,
experimented with various like
sorry.
non-targetable spots on the board, like the Juggernaut is not a minion, but it's a thing that happens on the board. But I don't think they're going to make a minion type based on not being able to interact with it.
No, that sounds problematic, especially if it's in mass quantity, right? What if equipment was a thing that fell off but then stayed on the board in the location of the thing that died? And then if you played something on it, it got that buff again, or you played something to nudge another minion on top of it, it picked it up.
Sounds kind of rad.
Sorry, it popped into my head after we moved on
That
from
sounds
equipment.
kind of that sounds kind of super rad. As so, okay, you give the minion a thing, and then when the minion dies, the board doesn't reposition. The thing just chills there,
Yeah,
and then you
what
go get it.
was it Adventurer's Hat? Explorer's Hat back in League of Explorers?
Yeah, Explorer's Hat.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
you just get it back after the thing died.
yeah.
But
It would,
imagine
or like it would.
it just fell on the board like Indiana Jones' hat. And then if you played something on top of it, it got that buff, or you nudged something on top of it, that got the buff.
That's really cool, man. I like that.
If,
It's not quite magnetic, and it's not quite a minion buff. It's somewhere in the middle, and it's a very Hearthstone-y thing. Like that's a very whimsical Hearthstone-y way of doing it. I think that'd be cool. And then you could have like a you could have a character that e any equipment that falls off, this character always picks it up, right? Like it just
oh,
boops onto them, right?
that'd be interesting.
There's space there. There's something you could do with that.
It's a space-based
I'm down.
thing, too. So you made an unintentional joke there. I don't know if you meant to.
And okay, so you would need some kind of mechanic to indicate that you'd probably have each minion only be able to wear one piece of equipment at a time. So you could override it so they would always drop exactly one thing. You'd have to show it around the minion. Hats? Hats?
Could be hats.
Could put hats in the game.
Listen, you call it equipment. We as a community refer to them as hats. That's what happens.
But you would see them on top of the character, like the minion's frame, and it would change based on the hat. And they would do different things because you got to visually see what each minion has, what the buff is. You have to be able to visually see it at a glance. And it has to be one thing only, and it always drops there. It's hats. They're gonna do it. Team Fortress 2 Hearthstone.
No, don't say that.
Gonna do.
They're gonna they're gonna stop making game and just make hats.
Man. hope they do this.
Is there something in the back
They
of your
probably
mind
won't.
that you think they'll do?
I don't. I'm currently thinking through design iterations of hats and
Okay,
how they would do it in the game.
cool.
Like I don't know. It's your suggestion seems like a pretty good one because there are a lot of specific ways to do an old thing that they tried as a prototype in a new way. The original Kazakus was a prototype for Zephyrus. Sphere of Sapience, Shadowcloth Needle, whatever, would be a prototype for equipment if they wanted to do something like that. So they've tried a lot of weirdo stuff, and they could easily polish one of those implementations and make it a thing. They could do that. They have done that in the past. They probably will in the future. Um, I'm not creative enough to think of anything beyond that. Maybe they put buddies in regular Hearthstone. I don't know. I don't know. They have
Oh
space to the
boy.
left of the hero for something. So if they wanna do something hero specific, they could put it to the left of the hero. They wanna have you some kind of equipment, some kind of board modifying effect, and it could be another character, right? Like, it could be another character. So think about, like, Planeswalkers in Magic. You equip an ally. You have an ally that takes over. Maybe you equip an ally,
Maybe they call it
or
a
maybe
buddy.
okay, so wait a minute. An ally is a temporary hero card sort of thing. It takes over. Your original character boops over to the little circle where the buddy meter is. You get a different health total, like 10 life or whatever. Instead of the armor, you get the health total. You get a new hero power while that character's around. But then when the ally dies, you switch back. This is what I'm thinking right now. Could be
That could work.
interesting.
That could play. That could work. Uses UI. You reference UI elements we've already seen, like the buddy circle.
Yeah. Like, and the idea of your hero booping over into that, and you could like, there are a bunch of different ways to implement it. I'd be curious to see how they do that if they decide to do that. It's fairly complex as an idea again, and hero cards are not a new idea. Again, it's the thing they've done before, but in a new way with some polish and some UI elements. They could absolutely do that. Um, but I don't know if I don't know what qualifies as a new card type. I don't know what they consider a new card type, so I'm wondering how far off the reservation they went for this one.
Hmm. I don't know.
We'll have to see. If it's waiting to ship, that means we give it a minute, and then we'll see it soon.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's going to wrap it up for this episode.
I think so too. Thank you all of you, everyone on the Discord that shot us messages, and James for sending it via Patreon DM.
Yeah. Keep them coming. Also, if you're not supporting us on Patreon, tacpodcast@gmail.com. We are supported by our wonderful patrons. Speaking of which, over at patreon.com/TAC. If you like what we do here and you want to support us, well, check it out. Patreon.com/TAC. And, yeah, consider chipping in a buck or two, whatever works for you. Huge thanks to our producer, Dustin C., by the way. Thank you for the support, Dustin. And other than that, you can find the back catalog of episodes over at theangrychicken.com or youtube.com/amove2. You can follow the show on Twitter at TAC Podcast. And we're live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here on twitch.tv/amovetv. Joss is out again this week, but you should go give her a follow at Joss Plays and check out her other podcast, The Gamers In. And before we go, Hat, where can folks find you?
The best place, the hub of my content is twitter.com/ridiculoushat, but I'm on a couple other Hearthstone podcasts. Coin Concede, who make the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. Kind of take a casual competitive look at Hearthstone over at coinconcede.com. You can find me over at Vicious Syndicate as well, vicioussyndicate.com. We take a data-driven look at the standard metagame. Garrett, what about you, buddy?
I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. You should go give me a follow there. 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett. I trust you know how to spell art. And other than that, really, just please go check out youtube.com/amovetv, where I am now playing through Final Fantasy XIV for the very first time and making YouTube videos about it. And I'll have my first video about Stormblood coming out this Wednesday, the second Final Fantasy XIV expansion. And the one a lot of people warn you about. They're like, oh, it's the best MMO. But, just beware of Stormblood. And I think I know why now. I made a video about it, and it's being edited as we speak. So it's coming out first thing Wednesday morning. YouTube.com/AMOTV for the Final Fantasy stuff that I'm doing. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Until next week, job's done.
Job's done.
Well done. Good show.
We did it.
We did.
Thanks, everyone, for sending in your questions and for being here and all that.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the beginning of my recording. Burka, 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 burr. All right. That's that. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for hanging, everybody.
It's Hachi, you were correct that we are not ever really done with the job, which is a reflection of the human condition. But, for today, the job is done.
Predictions for the mobile game tomorrow? I don't know. Schreier's usually right, is my prediction.
He has historically been pretty reliable.
Yes.
So, I don't know what Clash-esque means. We'll see. There will be a gameplay trailer tomorrow. I bet it'll be fun.
Yeah. If it's Clash of Clansy, I can't say I am hyped for it, but I will watch and look and give it an honest shake. But yeah. We're going to bring the stream down now. Thanks for hanging, everybody. We're going to go get the show posted. Bye.
See you later.